Hello and welcome to the Court Jesters podcast. This is the initial episode of the Court Jesters podcast. It is a basketball podcast mostly about the NBA, hosted by two Chicago Bulls and Chicago local comedians that are here to talk shit, act like an idiot, and maybe provide some hoops analysis. I'm one of the co-hosts for the Court Jesters podcast. My name is Brad Rickert, and here with me, as always, is...
Hello, it's Matthew Patrick Torres.
That's my boy. What's up, Matthew? How you doing today, buddy?
Pretty good. This is a great time to talk basketball. Everything's mayhem right now.
Yeah, timing could not be better for a first episode. We've literally had some of the craziest things happen just like within the last 24 hours. Some of the most ridiculous basketball stories. We were maybe even thinking about starting next week, but we thought now's the time. Now's the time to jump in and put out the content. So, how you feeling? What do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about...
Kevin Durant.
Absolutely. Okay, let's start there. What are your thoughts? Obviously, go ahead.
So, I got the facts right here as of a couple hours ago. So, if Kevin Durant... So, they're saying it's not an Achilles. It's either grade 1 or grade 2 strain. So, if he has a grade 1...
On his calf, correct?
Yeah. If he has a grade 1 strain, he's out 7 to 10 days. That means he's definitely going to miss Game 6 and 7 against the Houston Rockets. And one of the home games and one of the away games for the Western Conference Finals. And most likely Game 1 of the Finals if they go.
Right, yeah.
So that's a pretty bleak...
And that's best case scenario.
Yeah. So best case, he's just going to roar into the Finals.
Right, yeah. And worst case scenario, grade 2...
He's done. That'd be out for 5 weeks. He'll miss the remainder of the postseason. And... that's it. He's out. Yeah.
That was incredible to watch. That was a crazy, crazy occurrence. He hits the jump shot. He turns around. He starts running to the other side to play defense. And it just goes out on him. I thought for sure it was an Achilles. It looked like an Achilles injury. It looked like when Kobe tore his Achilles a few years back.
So, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, Brad knows a little bit more about basketball than I do. And by a little bit, I mean, twice as much. But if you could clear something up for me. So they said a lot of people who are like my basketball friends right away said Achilles.
Right.
And they said it's because it looks like you feel like somebody hit you with something.
Yeah, it's a phantom feeling. So before you actually feel the pain of the Achilles tear, it feels like someone kicked you in the back of the leg. So you notice, if you watch the video of Kevin Durant and the injury occurring, he hits the shot, he runs a couple steps, there's no one near him, and he looks behind him because he thinks that a player's behind him and kicked him or something like that. Then he has the injury occur, and it's kind of the first sign of the pain of that injury. So when he has this thing happen and no one's around him and there's no contact, it doesn't look like he's landed awkwardly, the first thought immediately is Achilles. I'm not even 100% convinced that it's not an Achilles. I wouldn't be surprised if they were trying to cover anything up. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist guy, but there is a way to have, if it's a calf injury like they're saying, he'll be back. We will see him this postseason unless the Rockets shut them down right now. Even 5-week prognosis,
which I'm hoping for.
You're hoping the Rockets shut them down. Obviously, I think the world's rooting for them. I mean, the Warriors have been the evil empire. They've been the New York Yankees. They've been, the dynasty of the now, and it has seemed unfair. And it's unfortunate that Kevin Durant has this injury at this point because he was without a doubt the best player in this postseason, and this kind of felt like his opportunity to have his big moment in his run where it was undisputed that he was the best player in the world. And with an injury like the calf, hopefully he can come back 100%. But if it's an Achilles and they're just trying to cover it up, we're never going to see Kevin Durant play like that again.
So now, big picture, this is what I was thinking. He's screwed every possible way. So now, he comes back, right, and plays the last couple games of the finals. This ring will be like, did they really need him? He doesn't come back. I mean, he'll still technically have the ring, but then people are like, that doesn't count. So, I don't know if you noticed for, the last, maybe, month or two, everyone started trying to push Durant into, these GOAT, conversations.
Right.
He's out of it.
You think based on this injury, or if
There's no cool way, or like a basketball purist people. There's no way he can get a championship this year unless he magically gets better and he plays real soon.
unless he becomes like Finals MVP and comes back in 3 weeks or whatever.
There's not any way where they'll like let him be in the GOAT category.
Well, I mean, not this year, but there is the potential for him to heal up fully in the offseason and come back with the Knicks next year or another team.
Well, that's the trickle down effect I'm talking about. So then then this ring won't count. For like people, when you argue with people, they're like, this ring doesn't count. It'll count, but it won't count. And then he'd have to be so good with another team. Now he's just like this nice add-on.
This injury is something to watch. I mean, to see how it develops, to see how he heals, to see how quickly he heals, to see how they what information they give out. I mean, it's still the NBA playoffs. This is big stakes. This is where people make their legacies, where all-stars become Hall of Famers, where good players become household names. This is the time for them to keep everything secret. I don't trust everything that the Warriors are saying about this injury. I think they're trying to downplay it. But the thing that I think is most interesting about this opportunity for the rest of the Golden State Warriors is this is the time to cement their place in history. I'm talking about Steph, I'm talking about Draymond, and I'm talking about Clay, because they had these two hired guns with Boogie Cousins and Kevin Durant that have come in and made huge impacts. Kevin Durant's obviously made a ginormous impact the last couple seasons. But it's back to those three. And all three of them have been accused of slipping this year, of falling off. I think it's their time.
They played better without Kevin Durant.
Well, obviously Steph just rose to the occasion last night. Like, he outplayed James Harden in the fourth quarter. KD goes out, you got a quarter and some change to play. That's the time for the Rockets to amp up.
You're Houston, that has to be a little demoralizing. They lost Kevin Durant and they still got you.
I mean, I don't know.
I
don't know how they bounce back. I don't think they're going to win this series either. I think there's a chance they win Game 6 in Houston. But if they go back Game 7 into San Francisco, I don't think they're going to pull it off. I don't know if they have the intestinal fortitude. They should have smelled blood in the water last night. They should have won that game by double-digit points. They were down by 20, and they tied the game in the third quarter. They were having a crazy comeback, and Steph did Steph-like things. I can't hate on him. He's not my favorite player to watch. He's not my favorite player. I don't like everything about Steph Curry and the Steph Curry movement. But, goddamn, you got to give him his props. He stepped up last night, and he was the champion and the Hall of Famer on the court last night.
I had a good, you won't like this.
Okay.
I had a good tactic how I would have won yesterday.
If you're the Rockets?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how Ayesha Curry has been going online saying she wants more attention from men?
Right.
If I was Harden or any Chris Paul or something, I would have said it sincere, so I wouldn't get in trouble. I'm like, man, sorry about Ayesha.
Yeah.
Need that attention.
I mean, that had to be some trash talk on the court at some point, right?
I mean, but I would have kept digging.
Will you give a brief explanation for people that don't know the story? It has been national news the last couple days all over the internet.
So basically, Ayesha Curry, who is Steph Curry's wife, I don't like Ayesha Curry, but she's Steph Curry's wife, and she says that she wished she got attention from men the same way that Steph Curry gets attention from women.
Right.
She never gets it, which is a weird and annoying thing to say. I wish she would be more shut up. Because, she does this, not the first time she does that. I feel like because the spotlight gets so big on her in the finals and stuff, because she is Steph Curry's wife and she's there, I feel like she's not realizing sometimes the damage she can do to her husband's game. She's still his wife, and it's, stuck in his head. So, that one year where she was like, the NBA's rigged, I saw it, I was there, and blah, blah, blah. That had to affect Steph Curry. They even lost that year, so I wonder if it, contributed to that.
The timing's definitely not great. It's really not great. And I, if I was in a marriage and my wife said something like that, or if my husband said something like that, I don't think that's a cool thing to say necessarily. I think it's fine if, I think it's great that she speaks freely and she's her authentic self, and I don't want to shit on her too much and, just tell her to stop talking. But the timing on when she grabs the spotlight, it's not, I don't know if that's the time for it to be about her. Wait for the summer to say ridiculous shit if you're going to say ridiculous shit.
I think she just wants to be like a star, and it just hasn't been working out for her. And this is always her time of year when everyone pays attention to her.
Right. I can't totally argue. I feel like it's a nuanced situation, and I feel different ways about it on both sides, and I can understand that argument for sure. All I know is I would be annoyed by it too.
Me too.
And if I was on the Houston Rockets, I'm talking shit about it the entire game.
Well, my other route would be I would just be gross and be like, yeah, I heard Ayesha wants that attention. Tell her, holla at your boy, fam.
That's what's up. Yeah, I mean, it's just asking for it. It's just like, but Steph doesn't seem fazed. Steph seems like he's a internally driven being, and I don't know if he really hears all that noise.
Not in a negative way. I'm not putting any negative connotation on it, but I think because he's very like religious and family valued wise, it's easy for him to channel out that kind of stuff.
Right, because as someone who comes from a religious background myself, you kind of have to have the mindset that everybody else is kind of living a little bit off and they don't quite get it, and the way that you've committed your life is the right way to live, and that's kind of where your faith leads you. So he's probably used to being in a bubble and viewing the world differently anyway. So I think, you're right. Like someone who's religious and has like a tight family background, he's got his own world, and he's doing fine,
But if I'm Houston and then going forward, Denver or Portland, probably Denver? What are you thinking now?
Oh, so that next series we're talking, let's stay in the West. We'll talk Portland and we'll talk Nuggets. Wow, well, man, I was really feeling good about Portland for a second. They're down 3-2 now. Jokic has looked like the best player in that series. Dame Lillard obviously was amazing against the Thunder. He's been good. And so is CJ McCollum in this series. They've had moments of greatness. But overall, the Nuggets have just been too much. Paul Millsap with a huge contribution the last couple games. Jokic has been unworldly. Jamal Murray's stepping up. It looks like the Nuggets really are the better team. Even though I want the Trailblazers to win, it looks like the Nuggets are the better team.
I always I don't know if I'm a sucker for an underdog or I always just want who I'd like to win, and I can't separate what's going to happen from my emotions. But I want Portland to win, and
Same.
I think they will.
Yeah, you think they're going to come back from 3-2? You think they win the next two games?
Nice. Wouldn't that be
Game
nice?
7 in Denver?
And then it would keep them amped up to go crazy against Golden State, who's having problems.
It's interesting, the matchup, either one against the Warriors, because if Portland makes it, it's a straight-up guard contest, right? It's Steph and Clay and Draymond, against, Dame and CJ and, their cast of contributing big men and guards that are, they contribute a little bit, but it's those guys, Denver, I think, is a harder matchup for the Golden State Warriors. No one can guard Jokic on the Warriors. But the one thing that the Warriors definitely 100% have on the Denver Nuggets that they don't have as much against the Portland Trailblazers is a mental edge. Denver is one of the youngest teams in the league. I saw a stat that their median age is 24.9 or just under 25 years old for their average player. They've not been there before.
Sometimes it goes against it, though, because then sometimes those younger people, they want it real bad.
Ignorance is bliss, man. You don't even know how hard it is until you've already reached it and failed,
I almost kind of feel like, maybe this is just me, but that might be what was hurting Kyrie.
The mental anguish of knowing what it takes, yeah. I mean, we'll switch there in a second. We'll get to Kyrie.
Isn't that a perfect example?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's kind of, once you've been down the road a few times already, you kind of know what it takes to get there. But if it's your first time and you're just going off of pure raw energy and talent and how bad you want it, there are ways to make a huge splash. I actually think that what you're talking about is a very, very real mental thing, and that's why I think the Warriors, even without Kevin Durant, should still be the heavy favorites to win everything. There aren't really many teams left that have that experience. There's a lot of teams that are capable and have the talent, but Warriors have just as much talent as everyone else still. They don't have the depth, but Jesus, 3 championships for those guys, you know, and the rest of everyone besides Kawhi Leonard has none, you know, as major players. The Rockets got to pull it out in the next couple games, or I think we're looking at a Warriors championship either way.
I don't know.
You think Denver can get him? You think Portland can get him?
I mean, you want to go to the East now, maybe?
Yeah, we'll save that. We got more podcasts coming.
I think Bucks may have a good chance.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that series. So the Bucks close out the Celtics last night.
That's gotta hurt.
In 5 games after the Boston takes the first game. Everybody's high on the Celtics. I picked the Celtics to win.
Me too.
And they just went down hard.
And Paul Pierce jinxed them.
Paul Pierce is the biggest dickwad in the NBA.
His 2 L's this year. He said he's better than Dwayne Wade, and then he said the Celtics series was over when
right.
the Celtics won 1 game. And then
Paul Pierce is dumb.
He's digging himself to make him hated. Like, people are starting to hate him.
I hated him as a player because he kind of, I don't know, he always had like a, it always felt like he felt entitled on the court. And, you know, as someone who liked other teams that he was playing, he was a great player. Paul Pierce was amazing. He was a killer. The Truth is a great nickname for him because he was the fucking truth. And he's a Hall of Famer. He's multiple All-Star. He's a champion. But, dude, shut the fuck up. You just, like, he wants to, he's just a classic example of a guy who's not happy with where he's at. So he's got to propel it to another level, or he thinks everyone's going to forget about him.
It's been having the opposite effect.
Yeah, it's like turning him into the villain.
Yeah, and who compares himself against someone who got retired just recently? Like, that's a rude-ass thing to do.
Yeah, I don't even really understand the thought process behind that, like why you would want to take away from Dwayne Wade's moment. But Paul Pierce is like, I mean, they're chanting like Paul Pierce in the Boston arena. They're chanting Paul Pierce in Brooklyn. It's fucking hilarious, dude. I mean, like, he really made his bed and now he's lying in it. The other argument could be that he's doing it on purpose, you know, and he's trying to build his media personality, and, you know, you can't, you know, whatever, you can't argue with the fact that that does work sometimes. I mean, look at, you know, our president, you know, he got there by being, you know, hate followed, you know.
I guess that's a valid point. Paul Pierce could be building, like, a persona of a villain.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to have a major presence as, like, the number one villain in the NBA, you know, and I think that's interesting because, you know, everybody tries to put out a media personality that's the good guy. But you're right, to take away from Dwayne Wade's moment, to make these claims, they're just like, they're blatantly dumb. So I don't know if he's aware of that, and if he is, kudos to you, I hope it works out. And if you're not, then just keep saying dumb shit, and we're all going to hate you, and we'll see how you feel about it.
Yeah, like Lavar Ball.
Right. You know, I feel bad for Lavar a little bit because he just seemed like he had a lot of ambition to do a lot of good things, and he wanted to take care of his family because he was afraid of how the world would treat them and take advantage of them because he's lived a life. And I understand that, but he was just kind of dumb too, you know, and he did a lot of dumb shit. And, you know, I'm a big Lavar Ball supporter. I like Big Baller Brand, for the artist formerly known as Big Baller Brand, R.I.P. Alan, you asshole. How could you do that to Lonzo? But, I mean, obviously a lot of it backfired and it fucked up his kids' lives. It's selfish, you know, it's like projecting your dreams onto your children. And that's, you know, that generally that doesn't work out in parenting styles.
I mean, Lonzo Ball, like, he could do something crazy, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the pros. I mean, obviously, like, that's the other thing that I can't argue with how his kids turned out. He got all of his kids to a very high level of playing basketball that allowed them to
play with LeBron James.
Well, yeah, he got his one son to go pro and have a full-ride scholarship. His other son got into college before he fucked it up and started stealing sunglasses in China. And then his other kid... See, this is where it really bothered me. I was all on board the LeVar Ball train until he took his kid out of high school to go play basketball in Lithuania for a shitty professional team. And I wanted it to be cool, and I wanted it to work, and I watched the games initially.
Did you?
Unlike live streams, yeah.
Wow,
online.
You're hardcore, man.
I love basketball, man, and I actually do love the Balls. I like really root for them. But it's just a bad move to do that to your kid. You know what I mean?
Are you watching WNBA?
Am I watching the WNBA? I haven't watched any games this year. I do watch a couple though.
How dare you?
I kind of want to go to some games this year.
The Sky.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I'll go. Should we be doing the WNBA playoffs too?
Maybe they'll let us do a set at halftime.
Yeah, pants versus skirts.
Oh my god, dude. I do not condone any of this nonsensory misogyny. Ooh.
They even have like a littler ball, right?
Yeah, it is a smaller ball. It's 28.5 inches in circumference. The NBA ball is 29.5. I am a nerd!
Yeah, you love it.
Well, I actually knew that because the WNBA size is similar to a middle school or junior high ball, which I played with, when I played. And I could palm that before I could palm a regular basketball. So I knew the sizes and all that shit.
That was a big deal when I was a kid. If you could palm a ball,
yeah,
you could spin it on your finger.
If you can palm a ball, you got big dick energy. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got them fingers, you got that strong grip. You're packing a trouser snake.
I couldn't do it.
You got a little chubby wiener, buddy.
A little baby one.
I'm sure it's fine and average and cute or whatever. I'm sure he's got a great personality.
It's adorable on my body.
Okay, let's get back to the b-ball and quit talking about our beautiful dicks. Kyrie Irving, have we seen the last game of him in a Celtics uniform?
No, I don't think
You think he's going to come back after all that?
He I don't know if it's just me, but...
No way to me.
I feel like I have kind of like the same narcissistic views that he does. I mean, if he's not, he has to be the star somewhere else. He wants to be the star.
You don't think he's learned his lesson? So the Celtics have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals the last 2 years without Kyrie Irving. They went with Isaiah Thomas and his dead sister, and they went last year with all those scrubs and Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving sitting on the bench. This year, Hayward's there. Kyrie's there. You have Rozier sitting on the bench, who was a major part of last year. You have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum not playing at the 1 and 2 position that they were this time last year. It was Kyrie holding the ball, taking shots. It didn't work out. I think he tried, and there's not an NBA championship that's ever going to be won with Kyrie Irving as the number 1 player. And I think he realized that last fucking night.
I don't know, man. The guy who made Uncle Drew, I think he wants to be a star.
He is a great star. He's a Hall of Famer. He can be an NBA champion. He can be one of the best point guards of all time. How many point guards have been the best player on an NBA championship team? There's not many. Steph Curry has his 1. Isaiah Thomas has his 2 with the Pistons. And there's not many. You need size.
So where do you think he's going to go? Knicks?
Well, they're talking about 3 major possibilities outside of the Celtics re-signing him. They're talking about New York Knicks with him and Kevin Durant joining forces. They're talking Brooklyn Nets because they're already an established playoff team that you fill in Kyrie and get rid of D'Angelo Russell maybe, or maybe even move D'Angelo to the 2. Yeah, I mean, they're good. They're at least as good as the Celtics this year, I would imagine. Or, you're ready for it.
Chicago Bulls?
No, fuck no. Yeah, I love Boylan. No,
yeah, that's
sorry, we'll get there. We'll get to the Bulls. The other option is him going and playing with LeBron on the Lakers and realizing his sins and his transgressions and apologizing to the big daddy papa that is LeBron James.
And maybe not for everybody, but for me, LeBron has slowly transitioned to like the good guy again. So I feel like you kind of like man, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate him having a good team.
If you put Kyrie and LeBron on the same team, and then you get Anthony Davis at some point, actually that'd be really funny. Could you imagine if the Lakers picked up Kyrie Irving and then they traded him for Anthony Davis?
Even
that'd be so good.
Either way, they'd be great teams.
Yeah, I don't know if they win next year. See, that's what's so interesting about this offseason. I'm very excited for the summer in the NBA because it's going to be some of the biggest moves in the history of basketball, and there's going to be so many all-stars moving or making the decision to stay put, and it's going to impact the league in a lot of ways because the Warriors are aging out, and Kevin Durant, who is now injured, is probably leaving. The Warriors, I don't think, are ever going to win another championship after this year. Their run is done, in my opinion. That's my guess.
I don't want them to win this year.
I don't know if they will, but if they do, it'll be the last year.
If you're listening to this after the championship,
yeah.
Please, I hope they didn't win.
Make fun of us in the YouTube comments. Tell us how fucking dumb we are. It leaves the league open. I think if KD doesn't get injured yesterday and he goes through this year being the MVP, wherever he goes, that's the favorites. He goes to the Knicks, someone's going to join him. He's the favorite. He goes to the Nets, they're the favorite. He goes to the Clippers, they're the favorite.
What do you think Golden State would do? Just get like a little add-on to their roster?
Well, I think the Warriors have to make the choice to take care of their guys that built their dynasty and just be in the mix for a couple years while they age out. And you got to build talent, and you got to try to build around it in the meantime. You'll have some draft picks. You'll have young talent come up. It'll give more opportunities for people. You'll sign some people. But they gotta re-sign Clay if Kevin Durant leaves. I think if they let Clay go, they're really fucking themselves.
Yeah, Clay's kind of underrated, even though he's not. He is.
I mean, he's been getting the crumbs of these guys for the last couple of years, and he's still managing to get his numbers, and he's still managing to make a big impact on the defensive end. He is aging. I think he's at his peak right around now physically, but he hasn't really had the opportunity to shine. So I think it's really interesting for Clay to want to leave. So I think Golden State has to give him a max offer that really show that they respect and appreciate what he's done for them.
It's going to feel weird to start seeing these players on other teams.
I mean, it's already kind of getting weird. I mean, Jimmy Butler on the Sixers, Kawhi Leonard on the Raptors, LeBron on the Lakers.
Well, LeBron on the
Chris
Lakers
Paul on the
really
Rockets.
Weird,
but
I meant like to start seeing Golden State break up.
I mean, all good things must come to an end. And I think if they can pull it together this year, it'll be a great story for the end of the run. But Steph is on he's on the downhill, and Iguodala is retiring. I think really the best chance the Warriors have of repeating is re-signing Clay, keeping Steph. I mean, outside of Durant staying, obviously. If Durant stays, that's great. But outside of that, and then managing to get Boogie Cousins back in the mix and sign him because he got injured again. Get him on another low-level offer because he's not proven that he's healthy. And then hopefully he can contribute in a major way next year. I mean, I don't know how else that's going to happen, but also you're going to see the disbursement of all these superstars, so it's kind of going to be, where do the balls lie? The Clippers might win a championship next year. The Knicks might win a championship next year. The Nets might win next year. The Lakers probably won't because they're such a fucking mess. But they might,
LeBron can't leave. Can you leave? He can leave, right?
So actually, that's what's crazy about the rumor swirling around LA right now is that they're even considering trading LeBron. And it's not because of him, it's because the franchise is such a fucking mess. Magic quits out of nowhere, and now it's all these different heads of the company or the franchise or whatever that are trying to figure out who really has final say. And it's like Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss, and now you got Kurt Rambis, who apparently is an advisor for the Lakers, right? And they're about to sign Ty Lue, and he's trying to block it. And now Ty Lue's backed out of the negotiations because he feels like he got a bullshit offer. He's a championship coach that took 3 teams to the finals back-to-back years, even if it had LeBron. He wanted a 5-year deal. They wouldn't offer it. They wanted to put in their assistant coaches instead of allowing him to pick his head coaches completely. They wanted to put Jason Kidd in an assistant coach role, so if Ty Lue didn't do his thing, they'd fire him and immediately promote Jason Kidd.
It's crazy they could get all these little pieces back together on like some off chance they could get Ty Lue, Kyrie. You don't think that'll ever happen?
But the thing is they're not. I mean, unless they change their offer and they get their shit together, the Lakers are just a fucking mess right now.
Do you think that? I mean, do you think that all those like that specific little stew of championship players could do it again, or you think they need a whole new thing?
A lot comes down to LeBron's health.
And I feel like a lot comes down to Anthony Davis.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with Anthony Davis, but it's not looking great in New Orleans. He's pretty much sticking to his guns that he wants to be traded and that there's no question that he will not play for the Pelicans next year unless they absolutely force him and he does not want to. But
you don't want a player like that either.
But yeah, because there's no future. They know he's leaving after the year. He might begin the year there and they trade him by the trade deadline. But the New Orleans Pelicans, if they have Anthony Davis on their roster at the end of next year, they fucked up. Because then they just lost a top 5 player in the league for nothing.
This year, they really fucked the Lakers hardcore. Like, that was hardcore.
Well, the Lakers tried to bully him into the decision,
They both hurt. They both got hurt.
Yep.
It was a bad decision for both of them.
It was just a messy, bad situation.
I forgot what the exact deal is, but they'll never get a crazy deal like that again for Anthony Davis.
I don't think so. I think you're right. I mean, we'll see what happens. A lot of weird shit could happen. I don't know. I think that there were some teams right now looking at their rosters that are saying maybe we should have traded someone for Anthony Davis. And I don't know. I don't know what the Pelicans are expecting. I think they're expecting the Celtics to really offer the farm, and I don't know if the Celtics really have a reason to do that. The Celtics could look very, very different next year. I really don't think Kyrie's coming back, and I think they have the best package to offer as New Orleans. It could just be very different next year. It could be very different. I'll tell you what, though, Gordon Hayward's bum ass will still be there. He's a great dude, great player. Got a fucked up leg, shit happens,
I don't know.
All right, so we've covered... Oh, great. So there's only one series that we haven't covered yet, and that's the Sixers versus Raptors, and the Game 6 is tonight. Do you see the 76ers having a chance of coming back? Joel Embiid's been all over the place with his health. No. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard looks like... Now that Kevin Durant is out...
He's warming up. He's nice.
Kawhi Leonard looks like the best player left in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you don't usually beat the best player.
Yeah, he looks nice. And then, I don't know, they look like... The 76ers look like defeated mentally already.
They look inconsistent and immature.
Yeah, if you see them, they look like little kids who know they're going to lose a basketball game and they get all, like, pouty and this is not fair.
Right. The only grown-ass man that's, like, putting in a huge contribution for the Sixers is Jimmy Butler. Chicago all day. Jimmy Buckets, we fuck with you. We love you. Yeah, he's pulling up. He's doing his thing. Embiid, man, it's unfortunate that he's a big guy that suffers from the health stuff. I hope that he can get it together and have a postseason run at some point where he plays at 100%. I don't know how much of his illness is self-defeating and how much of it is legitimate, but I hope he gets his shit together and can play really good games the next couple games, and we can see what happens. Ben Simmons, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what the fuck. Do you have a thought on Ben Simmons and how he's been playing and his apparent potential in all-star level play for regular season games at least?
Maybe it's just like a psychological thing. Because that's initially why the same...
You gotta shoot those shots.
With the same thing, I thought the same thing with... that's why I thought the Celtics were going to beat the Bucks. It's because Kyrie had the mental to go with it. Mm-hmm. But I guess,
look, there is nothing lacking from the mental toughness of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Let's not get that twisted. That dude is up next.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, the mental...
Of having been there.
Yeah. It's a huge,
Kyrie's never done it, though, on his own. LeBron got him there. Kyrie hit a big shot.
Maybe he
had a big contribution. Wall. Of course he does, because he hasn't done it.
I can't do it with Daddy's not here.
Exactly. I don't know. I think Kyrie's great. I think he thinks differently, and he got a little misguided and lost in his own bullshit.
I like that you think that this has humbled him. I don't think it has.
We'll see what happens. We'll see where he signs. That's going to make a big difference, because right now he's 27 with 1 ring. And if he keeps going solo, he's going to be a Hall of Fame player that never did anything on his own, really, At least he'll never win another championship. But if he goes somewhere else, then he can have a legacy similar to, Dwayne Wade. Yeah,
which is a pretty badass legacy.
Yeah, because if he goes and teams up with someone and wins 2 more rings, he's at 3. And he'll be a 10-time All-Star. And he'll be on a bunch of first-team NBAs, and all NBA teams. And he's got a great career. But, yeah, you don't want to retire with only 1 ring and a bunch of...
he won't reach his full potential.
Yeah, because of his ego.
Yeah, it could have been something special.
Right, and...
He could have done something special.
How many players were able to be the driving force for multiple rings without a great team surrounding them?
None really.
Yeah. And especially at that size, I made that point earlier. I just think he's too small to make that big of a difference. Steph couldn't even do that. He had to have KD come out.
I agree. Yeah, that kind of sucks for Steph too. Steph never really get like a full.
All right, let's. How about? Do you want to bring us to our favorite segment of the show? This is Matthew Patrick Torres' little segment on the show where he likes to talk about the viral, the disgusting.
So normally I like to dive into NBA players' personal lives for this segment, the backcourt violation, but this one is just like a personal little rant. I feel like Brad will agree with me. I've had this with other people. So I'm kind of happy that Kevin Durant got hurt. You're not supposed to be happy when people got hurt.
You just want to speak on the joy you felt when you saw him get injured.
Well, no, I like to go deeper in it.
Okay.
This injury is a little bitch-ass cherry on top of the bitch-ass sundae that to me is Kevin Durant. So my problem with Kevin Durant is I don't know what it is. I don't know if he has like a likable face or if he's just like whatever it is about him. I don't know what he did to make everyone feel like he's like this good guy. So I feel like, a lot of people use the comparison, oh man, LeBron James going to the Heat is the same thing as Kevin Durant going to Golden State. It is not.
Absolutely not.
It's not even close. I don't know why people keep making that comparison. I like to make a better comparison. If LeBron James joined Golden State, people would say he ruined basketball. People would say like his legacy is trash, all this stuff. Like LeBron James does these little things, and then he gets so much scrutiny. I feel like Kevin Durant is like the worst, and I feel like he deserves this.
He deserves this. You 2-time NBA Final MVP.
Yeah.
You 4-time scoring champion.
I think
you 10-time All-Star. You bitch ass. You deserve your injury.
He's a bitch ass Sunday, and he finally got his little cherry on top.
I'll tell you what. In 2016, when the Oklahoma City Thunder were in Game 6, up against the Golden State Warriors, about to go to the NBA Finals, and you don't close it in that game. You don't close it in Game 7. You lose in 7 games to the defending championship Golden State Warriors, even though you're better than them. And then you go join them the next year. I will agree. That's a bitch-ass move. That's a bitch-ass move.
So I just wanted to take this segment and a special backcourt violation to tell Kevin Durant he's a little bitch.
You a little bitch, Kevin Durant. And you know what? I can't disagree. He is also the best player in basketball right now.
Not anymore.
Not today. He was yesterday. But I do respect his game. I do respect a lot of things that he does. But I don't like that decision. I don't like the fact that he's on Golden State. I somewhat understand it. Live your life to be happy if that's what makes you the happiest. Sure. But in terms of legacy, get out of here. Not GOAT, not close. And you just kind of cemented it. People are just caught up in the times. I don't think that anything KD has done, even this postseason, even rivals LeBron's last postseason, where he was averaging 45 a game for some series and winning game winners and all that shit. I mean,
I think it's just so insulting to me because he's so far from GOAT.
Well, we got to witness the greatest straight out the womb. We were born into Bulls country. We grew up.
Jordan's better than him. LeBron's better than him.
Yeah.
Kobe's better than him.
Yeah. Kobe is definitely better than Durant. I think arguably Steph has a better legacy than Kevin right now, and Kevin is just starting to surpass him as an overall player.
I'd rather meet Steph Curry in real life than Kevin Durant.
Let's think about all the players that are better than Kevin Durant all time. Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, Tim Duncan,
Larry Bird,
Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Will Chamberlain, Bill Russell. That's 10 right there.
Lou Dang, Zach LaVine. Who are my other underrated Chicago Bulls players?
This is perfect because we needed to go there anyway. We need to talk about our local team. We will always be covering the Chicago Bulls, not because they're good, not because they're interesting, but because they're our little shit show.
Cameron Payne
from downtown. Get the hot sauce.
Daddy D-League.
It's more Daddy D-League. They should be saying, one of Stacey King, the on-air personality for the Bulls.
Love him.
He's great. He keeps the energy going in good times and in bad. It's mostly bad. And one of his catchphrases is "Give me the hot sauce, hot sauce, hot sauce." And I gotta say, pretty soon he's gonna start saying mild sauce. It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good.
I mean, Larry Markkinen, I like him.
We got talent. They're coming up. We got Markkinen. We got Zach LaVine. And we got no one to play defense. It's rough. It's rough out here.
We got all the pieces, though. I mean,
we have all the pieces for a really good college basketball team.
I don't know if a lot of people follow basketball close enough to notice this, and I'm just a weird Bulls fan. But it's so funny.
We are on a basketball podcast.
Any little weird Cameron Payne thing, but Cameron Payne's so like under the radar. He's a Bulls player if you're not familiar with him, and
he's got great hair.
Any little mistake he does, they throw him in the D League, and it cracks me up. I'm like, oh man, he's back on the team, and they'll show him, and he'll have a bad game, and they're like, Cameron Payne's been put back in the D League this week.
Meanwhile, like he walked into practice and like didn't say hi to someone.
Yeah, I think they put him in the D League like 3 times brought him out and put him back in like 3 times this season.
Yeah,
and they did it for like one last game just because we didn't have enough players or something like that.
Now I don't know a bunch about his contract, and as we host this podcast more, I'm sure I'll learn a bunch about the Bulls and everyone on their roster because we'll discuss them in depth. But that's probably my guess because he's a two-way player. Where they have a contract that pays them to be both in the D League and the pros. So he's one that can go back and forth. And on a team that's mostly competing for the number 1 pick in the upcoming NBA draft, the Bulls, who have the 4th best odds of getting that number 1 pick, they were not playing for anything, and it makes no sense to try. And Cameron Payne, inconsequential season.
I mean, I'm going to be hyped as fuck about this podcast, or on this podcast, if we get Zion. Like, you won't hear the end of it.
We'll cry.
Yeah.
We will cry. I will become a Bulls fan again.
We'll be in the playoffs 100%, I feel like.
Wow. That's a big claim.
Well, the reason I claim that is because, so not only if Zion, I don't know, like, hopefully he lives up to the hype, which I'm hoping, but I feel like then it will give, like, the Bulls some energy. Like, let's build around him. Like, let's have something. Like, I feel like
it'll give the front office motivation to make some moves. Yeah. I think...
But keep him boiling. Let's keep boiling.
What was the contract extension? Was it 3 years or something like that?
I don't know.
But there was an extension.
I thought it was 2 years.
It was multiple years. I'm going to look that up. But here's what I got to say about extending Jim Boylan. Good for Jim Boylan. I am happy for you. I don't know why we did that. I don't know why we keep making decisions to be mediocre. I don't know why we feel the need to keep living in misery as a team that has been so mediocre since Michael Jordan retired, except for the Derrick Rose era. There's really no upside long term because I don't think Garpax, the management, I don't think they're ever going to put it together. I think if we get Zion, which we will not get, in my opinion, because it is rigged, he will go to New York.
Nah.
He's not going to Chicago, guys.
What I bet $5? $5. You heard it here. $5.
New York, Chicago.
Bulls.
And if neither, then we just...
Be sad.
We just got a kiss.
I'm down. That's also a deal.
Yeah, I don't know. The Bulls suck, dude. And they've made me sad for a long time. And it's like my childhood's dead.
It's the time for the ashes to go away.
But they're still in the suits that are making the decisions for the team, you know?
Well, what I feel is like, so, man, I have an opinion you won't agree with. I feel like we could have made the playoffs this year.
But there was no reason to.
Think about all the games we threw.
Yeah, there's no reason to make the playoffs. Do you think that was an internal plan to not try as hard?
There was some plan. They were throwing games.
I mean, they sat Markkanen extended amounts of time. They traded off Jabari Parker after he had a little bit of an attitude problem. There were a lot of trades. Who did they pick up? Otto Porter Jr. mid-season?
Well,
that was a good
you
pickup.
always know the signs of it. We can keep Zach LaVine and have Zion, right?
I think Zach LaVine will not be on a winning team unless he's the sixth man. He's an all-star level talent on the offensive end, but he plays no defense, and he's undersized, and he's weak.
So you think we'll get rid of him if we got Zion?
If we got Zion, then yeah, you keep Markkanen because he's a complimentary player. But LaVine just swallows up the ball and dribbles a lot, and he's an ISO player, and that's an antiquated way to play the game. And the dude's got a ton of talent. He's great, but I don't see him being on a very good team unless he's in a smaller role.
I'm still optimistic.
He's young. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he develops defensive game. Obviously, as an athlete with that amount of speed, you can make an effort on the defensive end. Maybe that's something you grow into, but I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see that edge from him. I don't see that he wants it type of attitude, you know? I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hate on the Bulls. I love the Bulls. I'm just trying to be realistic about it, buddy.
I mean, we'll see. You don't know.
It's true.
Or we could just still be like an okay team, but this year, like, fuck it, we're going for the playoffs.
I'll tell you this. I'll call it right now. Jim Boylan, Coach of the Year next year.
Jim Boylan. He even has like a name, like it almost sounds like a movie where they needed a bad coach.
It sounds like an interim coach name, yeah.
Jim Boylan. Boylan.
And he looks like an interim coach.
Yeah, he's not impressive. Man, I don't know why.
But, I can't hate on Jim Boylan. He's a good man. Or I guess. I don't know. I don't know much about him. But what are you doing, Bulls?
What's the other guy? The last coach.
Oh, the really shitty one, Fred Hoiberg?
Yeah, Fred Hoiberg. Like, what Fred Hoiberg... I don't know. Do you know what it is? I just, like, after we've had... Like, I'm like the whole... Do you know what it is?
Let's hire Tim Floyd again.
Yeah, when you have like, some people, like... You're pretty good at this. Just looking at the facts.
Right.
I get too caught in emotion.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to look at the big picture.
Should we bring Scottie Pippen out of retirement? I'm like, probably.
Yeah, that'll probably help. He's a good two-way player.
We should unhook his jersey from the rafters and
let him catch it like that. He's just naked out on the court. Whee!
Time to ball.
Meanwhile, the jersey is actually 10 times bigger than an actual jersey. He looks like a little pipsqueak in it. Oh, Scottie Pippen. I think that's a pretty good episode. What do you think, buddy? You got anything you want to say as we say goodbye to our friends?
Keep listening. We're going to keep coming out with fresh basketball ones. We're going to try to keep up with basketball, but it's going to have to be quick because this is a quick season. So.
Right. We got the season.
Tune in.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want to catch me or Matt at any live shows, we do a lot of stand-up in the city of Chicago, a little bit in the surrounding areas. Check us out on social media. I'm Brad Rickert, Rickert, and he's Matthew Patrick Torres.
3 very generic names, so it'd be really easy for you to spell them.
2 white names and then 1 not white name.
Offensive.
All right. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.